Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeti here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a gander at Dungeon Rushes. This is a sort of 2D tactical RPG. It's a dungeon, as you can tell from the title, a dungeon crawling, dungeon rushing, team managing RPG, I guess you could say. And it's quite interesting the way it's put together. It was made by and published by Goblin Studios, and from what I can tell from checking Steam and their website, this is their first game actually. So yeah, it's pretty interesting the way it's put together in that it does have some extra game modes, but mostly all of the game modes are actually tied to the campaign. So right off the bat from the main menu here, you can see my team, my campaign team, right from the main menu. You can see my money from the campaign right on the main menu. So it is very campaign focused. I also should mention it is in early access currently. But yeah, so it's mostly focused on the campaign. You can see the shop, the workshop, but it does have some extra modes to it. It has a custom dungeon builder, so like a level editor type thing, and it also has a bit of an online aspect to it as well. But for the most part, we are going to be focusing on the campaign for this one. I've sunk about 2.5 hours into this, 121 minutes to be specific, so actually like 2 hours flat then. And this is about the progress I've made. So this is the world. It's a decent sized world, so this is about 2 hours of play. To do this much, I've maybe done what, like 20% of the world. So put it into perspective of how much there is. I will say that for the most part I got through these with relatively low challenge, but I did get stuck on this one, I believe, for like a while. So the difficulty does definitely step itself up as it goes along. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to an earlier level just to demonstrate the way the game works a bit more. But basically, yeah, you work your way through, you go to these dungeons. As you can see, each dungeon has its own goals and stuff. So the goal so far, find the treasure, that has been the goal for everything so far. So I don't know if that'll change later on, but what you can do is you'll also get bonus challenges, and for every bonus challenge you do, you'll get a bonus in gold at the end of the round. So we'll go to this one. Find the treasure. All monsters slain, 100% unveiled, and all events inspected. You can see my team here. Before we go into this, I'm actually going to show off some of the rest of this stuff. So the workshop is what you use when you pick up loot. You can actually craft things. I recently did a bunch of crafting, so I don't really have anything to use. That mana potion could be useful, but I don't really need it now. No, I'll get it actually while we're here. Go ahead and craft that. So you can craft like armor. Here's like a shield, and you can see we need some iron and some bones to craft that. Or if you want to craft like a nice sword, this looks pretty dope. What's this called? I don't know, but it looks pretty cool. So we need iron, vampire teeth, and a fine stone. So there's crafting in the game. There's also a shop you can go to buy. This generally seems to be random. You'll usually have like health potions in here. There aren't any health potions in here. Yeah, for the most part, this is random what's in here. It's not the same layout of items every time. She doesn't have any health potions, and I don't have any health potions either. So it's kind of unfortunate that she doesn't all have any. That's a little bit unfortunate, but that's fine. We'll come back. So that's the shop. There's also these two, which sort of link in with the extra game mode. So I'll come back to those in a bit. For now, we are gonna go ahead and hop in. So sorry if you can hear the screaming outside. Yeah. So rush heroic mode. When you first get there, all you can do is rush, but once you've actually beat it once, or maybe not, I don't know when heroic mode actually unlocks then. I thought it was just when you beat it once, so I haven't unlocked it for these. Regardless, heroic mode, harder, higher loot levels, pretty neat. So you can see on the left here, I actually have abilities I can use out of battle, and I've obviously got my team here. So I've got Pathfinder. This allows me to see the rooms around me. I also have a couple of others, which for the most part I'm not going to use. This one's pretty useful. Mana is something which you can use on your extra abilities, which you can use either in battles or outside of battles for things like this. So I found a trap here. I could walk into it. One of my characters would take 5 health if I walk into it, and they'd also have bleeding for 3 turns. Or alternatively, I could use one of my abilities, i.e. Saboteur, which I'm going to use. So I used 5 out of 10 mana for that guy, but it did basically set off the trap, so it won't injure any of our guys. So you'll come across these events every now and then. Most of the time I've found that they are good, sometimes they can be bad. So we got regeneration mana, so that's just going to give us some extra mana, which is a little bit useful, but since we've only used mana once, it's not the most useful thing in the world. Oh, we got more mana. So he's going to actually have more mana now. So it's pretty simple in the way it works. We just sort of click along these squares until we find stuff. So this is what combat looks like. So my bard here does actually have an ability to, it costs 4 mana. I'm not going to use it yet, because this is the first fight, so it'll probably be pretty easy. But it basically has a 60% chance to put one of these guys to sleep, so they'll miss a turn. So this is what the combat screen looks like. It's turn-based. If you've played a turn-based combat game or any sort of game like this before, you'll probably already be familiar with how this sort of game works. But these are our characters. These are the enemies we have to kill. There'll be a maximum of 6 enemies. This is the order in which the game will play out. So my archer will go first, then this dude will go, then this enemy has a chance to hit, and then it'll, you get how it works. Down here, I can use potions, or I can choose to try and parry an attack. For the most part, I've not actually found any use for this. I mean, you may as well just attack from what I can glean, but whatever, unless you're trying to save up mana or something. I don't know, I've not really found a way to use this effectively yet in the 2 hours I've played. But yeah, potions obviously useful if you're dying, but you do want to be wary of the moves. Like, you don't want to use a potion or maybe you do, but mostly if you've got like 3 enemies coming after you and you're on really low health, the potion probably won't be enough. But each character does have 3 moves they can do. His is the standard attack, he has the long ranged attack, and he also has the poison attack, which does less damage but gives them poison for 3 turns. So I would like to take down this guy earlier if possible, because in the earlier dungeons they weren't doing it, so I don't know if this will actually happen in this dungeon, but in the later dungeons these shaman dudes can actually bring dead enemies back to life. So because he died before he got to move, he didn't actually get to do anything to us, which is good. And this, for the most part, is mostly what Dungeon Rushers has to offer as far as the campaign goes, at least. So we did get a crit there, which is good. That's a nice easy fight. I will try and demonstrate the dungeon I'm on currently later on, just because I'm a bit stuck on it, so you'll get to see what a slightly bigger challenge looks like. So we got another trap here. Fortunately, our bard does have an ability which can set that off. We will be aiming to fully clear the dungeon. Basically, the goal, as I said earlier, is to find the loot. Once you find the loot, you can leave, but for the sake of this dungeon, we'll finish clearing it for the bonus. So, pretty standard fight so far. We'll take this guy down first. I know he's not got a move until right at the end, but it's a nice easy kill. Of course, they both like just survive the hits. So honestly, right off the bat, just from seeing what we've seen so far, this is honestly like a pretty good flavour of what the game has to offer. Obviously, it does, pick up later on. We have 3 team members currently. We can get 2 more. Later on, we'll sort of see some differing types of enemies. I got an achievement for that, Appetite for Risk. I've never not activated one of those, like, at all. Every time I've come across one, I've used it, just because for the most part the risk outweighs the reward, and also they're more often good than bad, I've noticed. I don't know if that's just because I've had good luck, or if they genuinely are more often good than bad. I honestly don't really know, but so we're gonna one shot this guy. He was lullabied anyway, but whatever. So every now and then you get lucky like that. We all went before they had a chance to do anything, which was very convenient for us. That's not like a common thing though, that just happens sometimes. I will inspect this. Okay, so here we did get a curse. It's going to ruin our defense stat for a bit. Those things tend to last for 3 turns in combat. So this guy should be nice and easy. He is going to get a hit on us because of his turn. So I should mention the dungeons are actually the same. Is what I noticed. Like I said, there was a level earlier which I got stuck on. It probably took me maybe around 10 attempts, roughly, to beat that dungeon. And yeah, it is the same every time, the dungeon. So, which some people I think would prefer the procedural generated aspect to it, but for me personally, as far as getting stuck on a harder dungeon goes, I like it, because if you are stuck, you get the opportunity to sort of grind it out until you're able to beat it. But if you do come across a dungeon which is more challenging and then you lose and then you go into the dungeon again and it's different, then that time you might just beat it easy. It could just be down to the generation. So I do like the fact that it is the same, just because I feel like it does lend to the difficulty of the game for sure. So fortunately we actually have enough mana to set these traps off. I should mention, this is an earlier one, so my dudes have leveled up a bit. So this is fully cleared now, so I'll get the bonus there. But earlier in the game you might not have this many abilities, so you might be more likely to get hit by a trap. So yeah, all events inspected, all monsters slain, 100% unveiled. I don't get loot for that because I've already done it, but it was more just for demonstration purposes. So this is the one I'm on currently, the Bone Dry Dungeon. So we're going to go ahead and show this one off. I have attempted this a couple of times, so it's not like I've been on it for ages, but I was struggling with it whilst I was on it. Because there's a fight like further up here that was difficult, so we are actually going to use this now because I can use it 3 times in here, assuming we don't have to set off any traps. Okay, so what we're gonna do is try and get rid of this guy as early as possible. Oh, the crit is actually really useful there. And then we'll try and take these guys out. Because yeah, now at this point in the game, the shamans can respawn the already killed enemies, which is really inconvenient for us. Fortunately, I don't think we took any hits that game. Or did we take 1? I don't know. But yeah, if you do die in a dungeon, you do get to keep your loot, and then you can just come back and try it again. Yeah, we'll use Lullaby again, because I believe it's the 3rd fight, which is the one I was struggling with. So I believe this next fight does introduce battle conditions, i.e. fog. Yeah, okay. So hopefully we'll get to show that off here. I mean, it's the sort of gameplay that if you're not really into it, you're probably not really going to enjoy the game. So this, as you can see, fog, 50% chance to attack the wrong target. Can be a massive pain in the dick, I'll be real. But anyway, yeah, if you're not really into this sort of style of combat, turn-based combat or anything like this, then this probably isn't the game for you, because this essentially is the game. If you like this combat, then it'll be pretty good for you, because there's a lot of it, and it does... It varies quite well as time goes on. It's the sort of thing where if you don't like this combat, it'll feel just like the same thing all the time. If you do like this combat, then there's enough variance there that it will lend itself to that. I've enjoyed it though. I'll be honest, I don't tend to play a ton of games like this. Maybe this was the fight. Ah, shit. This was the fight I got stuck on, not the other one. So I wasted my lullaby. Oh well, maybe actually then... Do I have any stamina potions? I do. So we'll use another one. Also, I realised I think I made a mistake earlier in saying that mana is what you use out of the battle. It's actually stamina that you use for that. He's very nearly dead, which is worrying. So fortunately, there's at least no fog here. See, my problem is I could kill this archer guy and have one dude taken down, but he's just going to bring him back, like, for sure. Also, only one guy was put to sleep there, which is like really inconvenient for us. So we're gonna get some mass damage done here. So he's gonna go for a hit next, so we'll take him down to get 1 hit out of the way. Archer's probably gonna die here. He didn't. That was like real convenient. Will this kill you? It will. Awesome. Okay, the Skull Rider can do that. I'm wondering if it's better to just go hard on the attack here. So we can't kill any of them. Yeah, let's just like pound one out on him, because the Skeleton Rider is like really tough. And then just take him out, I guess? Yeah. So we did lose him, unfortunately. Once they die, you can't revive them whilst you're still in there. They obviously come back to life if you lose, but if you win the dungeon, they'll come back to life. But whilst you're still in the dungeon, you can't like revive them or anything. So this could be dangerous here, but we're fine. Having said that, we do now only have 1 dude, so we can still win the dungeon. It's unlikely though, so I actually haven't seen that small lanyard before. Do we have anything on our neck? We don't. So what was that? Where is it? +2 stamina. Oh, we may as well actually, because his stamina ability is actually pretty good. Okay, we found it. So this is where I'm faced with a choice. I could finish the rest of the dungeon, and you'll notice you can see the bounds of the dungeon. This is a small size dungeon. There is also medium and large, so they do get bigger than this as you go on in the game. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this opportunity, and I am going to get out of here before I get murdered. Okay, so we get a bunch of loot here which can be used for crafting. So you know what, yeah, it could have gone better, but that was a tough one. At least we got it beaten, so that's pretty much a taste for what the main game has to offer. Let me just go ahead and check how long we've been going here. 15 minutes, so going just fine. So, what else does the game have to offer? So, there's a tavern. This is essentially sort of like where you play other people's dungeons. Now, I wanted to play this one out first. It doesn't seem to work for me at all. If you go on popular dungeons, I don't know if it'll work better once I've unlocked these, but I mean, the Steam one should work. I don't know. I just haven't figured out why it doesn't work, and I've not been able to get it to work. But this is basically the level editor. Now, I haven't spent a ton of time in this because the thing with level editors is usually the sort of thing that if you're not really into them, you probably will never touch them, and that's fine because it is just like a bonus mode in this game. Having said that, it would be beneficial for you to use them, because level editors usually, if you don't use them, you'll just like never touch it. If you are into level editors, you usually go like hard on it, right? Unfortunately with this game, you can do it without using them, but if you set up a dungeon and other people come into your dungeon, you can actually get rewards in your campaign just for having a dungeon. So you don't have to have one, it's not like required, but you know, setting up dungeons would be beneficial to you in the long run. Which is why, as I mentioned earlier, it does tie back into the game. So we will show off that briefly, and there is also the arena, which we'll come back to, which again comes basically down to this. So basically, well, let's go ahead and just make a new dungeon. I've messed around with it briefly, but it's not really my forte, so I haven't really done much with it, but it's pretty much, after playing the game, it's pretty much as you'd expect it to be. So you can change the category here, that's just how it's labelled in the workshop and stuff. It's pretty straightforward. You can delete blocks, you can, not like that, you can delete blocks, you can place blocks. It's pretty much as you'd expect it, which is why I'm not going to talk too much on it. You can also click on an area, right click on an area, and then you can set up a fight, or you can put a trap there. So like you can put any of these traps, and you can see there is actually quite a variety. Like in this episode so far, what have we seen? We saw the poison trap, we saw the axe trap, and we saw the fire trap. There is a ton of different types of traps, so I definitely expect to see a bit more variance in those as we go on. There is also switches which open up rooms. I've come across a couple of these so far. And then you can also add in NPCs to talk to. Again, there's a few of those dotted around. There is some narrative in the game, I should mention. It's quite sort of light-hearted, comedic in places with its narrative, but there is dialogue there for sure in between levels, and actually in levels as well. So you can add NPCs to give like tips, or just add like some flavor text or whatever. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much as you expect it. Honestly, for what it is, it's actually, they've pretty much nailed the level editor, in my opinion. So you can put in some dead ends here, hallways, crossroads. I'm not going to talk too much on it because, honestly, it's pretty cut and dry. You get it for the most part. You can just, like, set up a fight here. You know, you can make it really, really tough. Which is, I think the one place it falls down is balance, in that you could just, like, I'm going to leave this, set up, like, a load of really difficult fights, and then make it impossible for them to take them down. Actually, I should also mention you can change the theme of the dungeon as well. I haven't unlocked any yet, but it's skeletal, but as you can see, you can change. There are a couple of other themes. We're going to actually leave here. And you basically, you do that by upgrading these, and as you can see, each of these things do better tips. So you can hire engineers to place more traps. Traps available to place 3. So there's like a max amount of traps you can place, a max amount of enemies. So you basically level these up to increase what you can do. More powerful monsters. allows you to build more rooms, etc, etc. So as you upgrade these, you can make better dungeons basically, and you upgrade these by getting these paper things. They're called blueprints, and how you get blueprints is actually by playing in the arena mode. And essentially what this is, sorry, I don't know if you can see my Steam notifications, but I just got a fuck ton of them from one group. This is the multiplayer version. This, essentially what you do is you come in here, click look for a match, and it finds you an opponent to go against, and you'll basically both be given the same arena. Oh no, you'll be given their arena, sorry, and you've basically got to beat their arena. And this is where it gets a bit difficult, so we can like dispel this. In the, if someone has basically made like a really tough arena, so instantly here, we're just gonna get like a row of traps, right? Yeah, so it's tough because people can just like make really difficult things. But on the other hand, I also came across an arena when I went up, right up, and then found the treasure and left, and I got 10 blueprints for that, and I literally did nothing essentially. So the balance is a little bit iffy on this one. I mean, because this could go on forever, right? And could lead to nothing. And then there's 6 skeletal warriors. So it's a tough one. I think as far as the actual level editor goes, it works exactly how you'd want it to work. It does exactly what you'd want it to do, which is awesome. But as far as like the aspect of playing other people's levels and that sort of stuff, I feel like it's a little bit iffy in places. But this is Dungeon Rushers. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's pretty interesting. It's the kind of thing I'd only suggest buying if you are interested, or if you do like the way it looks, because it's £11, I believe it's $15. So it's not cheap. I'd say for this sort of game, that's quite a decent price, quite a hefty price, I should say. So it really depends if this is a sort of thing which appeals to you. I think if you do like this sort of thing, or if it does look good, then you'll probably really like it, because it does do a really good job of what it's set out to. But if you're not into this style of game, probably not worth that investment for you. But we got the loot here. So that was an easier one. I have come across much harder ones. As you can see, we've got 10 more blueprints here. So if I wanted to, I actually could... Bronze rank 8. I actually probably could upgrade something here. Or, like, I just couldn't. I have 20 blueprints, but I'm not allowed to. Well, regardless, that is going to do it for Dungeon Rushers. Yeah, mostly, I like it. I like the campaign. I feel like the sort of workshop area could do with a little bit of work, but remember the game is in early access, so it is still being worked on quite regularly, and yeah, it's pretty much Dungeon Rushers. I enjoyed it. It was quite good. Not my style of game, as I said, but quite enjoyable regardless. So if you're interested, there will be a link in the description if you go and check out on Steam, and I'll also leave a link to the website as well. But yeah, that's gonna do it. If you did like this video, a like would be greatly appreciated. It really supports the channel out. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe as well. Other than that, I should say as well, if you do watch the channel regularly, I haven't been keeping on the ball really with taking the Gander ads. There was like a huge break, and then I did Shopkeep, and then there was like another 3 weeks, and then I did this one. I do have a few games built up now. I'm gonna try and play some more of those, but I'm also gonna be playing more indie games on the channel, not just through taking a gander at, but also just for the sake of playing. Maybe with some let's plays, maybe some like edited videos, just bringing some more variety into the channel, mixing things up. But regardless, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace, guys.